Oh my god. Oh my god, I think we're online. If you can hear me out there, we made it. We have been digitized.
Yeah, I can hear you, Derek.
Oh, wait, who's that? Who do we got here?
It's me, it's James.
James. James, wait. Oh, there you are. James, Rectangle Organizer James from Toronto. You look a little different from the last time I've seen you.
Well, I don't have a webcam here, but here's the thing. I went over to Jeff Bezos' house, and I was cutting his grass, because I wanted to, we're going to be on Twitch and everything. I figured, I'd try to get in his good books.
I think you have a couple of mistakes you already made there, but continue.
Of all people, Pierce Brosnan was there, and I'm there, I'm cutting the grass. He yells out to me, "Hey, lawnmower man."
Yeah, right.
Because he doesn't know who I am, right? Like, I know him because he was in GoldenEye, but he doesn't know me, right? So anyway, so he's just, he's calling out to me generically like that. And anyway, he had a bunch of nootropic drugs on him, and he wanted to test out this new VR game that he was working on. You know how it is. It's always good to have a second pair of eyes on these things, right?
I heard Pierce Brosnan is very into VR.
Very into VR. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, I know this is a horribly long story. Story short,
I haven't seen you in a while. Please, continue. I'd like to hear how this happened.
I'm 100% digital now.
Huh? Like 100%? All
100%.
How's that been working for you?
Well, I mean, I'm immune to COVID-19, because there's no viruses on the internet really, and
that's what they say, right?
It's been pretty. It's a little corporate, I mean, William Gibson was right about that, I guess.
I don't know if this is like.
Let's just start the show.
I think we should probably start the show. This isn't really what I signed up for. I'm going to back out of this digital thing. I think that does look pretty cool, though.
This is a test. This station is conducting a test of the emergency broadcasting system. This is only a test.
We did it. We have all been fully digitized. Holy shit. What's going on? Here we go.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, everybody out there. There's only 6 of us here, but it feels like we have like hundreds of people. This is the culmination of, a couple of communities coming together, sharing some ideas. What's going on? Eric just pulled a cat to the frame, which is amazing. It's already been a cat on this stream. We got Andros here hanging out. Kezia's just in VR all the time now.
Yeah, I'm just in VR. This is the future.
It's quite the thing.
It's not because I'm lazy and I don't want to switch audio. Clearly.
Clearly not. Cool. Thanks everybody for showing up. There's like a bunch of people in the chat. We're kind of new at this, so bear with us. It looks like everything's working okay. Please let us know if things are crazy, if audio is crazy or whatever. This is very much an experiment, and we're going to roll with it as everything slowly explodes over the course of the night. And I'm going to have like multiple fans on my computer or something like that. Real quick hellos, if you don't know where the hell you ended up or where you clicked right now, you are at Dirty Rectangles Online. This is your digital, I don't know, universe, utopia? What's a good word? Somebody give me one.
Cybertopia.
Yeah, there we go.
Online bulletin board forum.
Perfect.
Dirtier future.
Which is highly non-descriptive. So we're gonna show off some video game demos tonight. We got a whole bunch of people who signed up to show some things off, including the one and only Dave Proctor, who's going to be doing a big feature presentation for you guys in just a little bit. And then we got a regular open floor session. If you've ever been to a Rectangles meetup before, hopefully this should feel familiar, if not also extremely different, because you're staring at a screen now. Hopefully you got a beer or something to drink or whatever you want. And we're going to get into this in a little bit the way that we normally do with a few announcements. Announcement the first. I think that's you, Liam.
Yeah, let's talk about code of conduct. So code of conduct isn't exclusively for when we are in a physical space together. It does certainly apply online as we are interacting with each other online. So yeah, just because you're physically distanced doesn't mean you need to distance yourself from being a great person. If you want to familiarize yourself with the Dirty Rectangles Code of Conduct, I'd go to dirtyrectangles.com. It's right there. It's all laid out. I can summarize it generally. Don't be an asshole. Otherwise, I'm sure you're all great people. There's over 100 great people in our stream right now, and that's pretty excellent.
Damn, really?
So please, please familiarize yourself with the Dirty Rectangles Code of Conduct. If you do have any issues with anyone, you can report to us directly if you like. Find us on the Twitter or message us on, however you can. But there's also an anonymous report form on the Dirty Rectangles website, dirtyrectangles.com. You can submit anything through there, and we will handle it appropriately.
Hell yeah.
The next thing that I wanted to mention was a huge shout out, even though we are online right now in our own physical spaces, huge shout out to in Ottawa, the Avant-Garde, and in Toronto, Seascape, who delightfully host us for free every single time, as they will for the rest of time, assuming that they are able to open back up again in the end. So, let's hope for that. Let's get some Pog Champs in the chat for that. If you can support, if not the Avant-Garde or the Seascape, support your local businesses. Everyone needs a lot of help right now. Throw that hot game money that you have around and support local. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Fuck yeah. Great announcement.
Poggers in chat.
Top tier announcement. Who had the next one? My doc's not open. We're prepared.
Jonah, but he's not here.
Jonah.
Oh yeah, Toe Jam. I'll take that one. Eric, you want to take that one?
Okay. Sure. Toe Jam just ended. Toe Jam is an amazing game jam based out of Toronto, though this last weekend they were, of course, live via the internet because of all the crazy reasons that we are currently live via the internet. Toe Jam was an amazing experience that we took a part of years ago. I know many people took part of it this past year. Definitely. Yeah, Kezia.
Yeah, I made a game. I'm not showing it off, but maybe next month.
Yeah, no, if you have a Toe Jam submission you want to show off, if it's something special, feel free to let us know and maybe we can slot you in for next month. Yes. But otherwise, feel free to send us our itch.io links. We will retweet and do all that fun stuff that you do. We'd love to check it out. Game Jam games are, I think, the most important video games. So there you have it. Next up, of course, Indiecade anywhere and everywhere. Submissions are open. So if you've got your indie game and it's ready to roll, feel free to cruise on over to the Indiecade website and sign up for it. Those signups are only open until the 1st of June. So you have to get it in now. Get it in, get it done. You have a little bit of time because Indiecade itself is not until October 16th to 24th. So make sure you get that stuff done and make sure you get it in.
Yeah, and it costs $75. And yeah, so if you have the motivation to work on stuff right now and you want to submit to a festival, Indiecade is really cool. I'm not sure exactly how the online Indiecade is going to work, but usually Indiecade is like there's awards, there's a show floor, and there's also like talks. So I don't know. If you go to the website, you can find more information on that.
Hell yeah. I think the next one's mine.
And Derek.
I'm using my memory here. Another thing that we want to call it, although it's happening like I think right now, is a meeting for the GWU in Toronto, the Game Workers Union. So they're holding monthly meetings now. If you're here, that means you're not there. You're welcome to peace out and go there if you feel like you want to fight the good fight. But they're going to be doing monthly meetings now too. It looks like. So if you're in Toronto, pay attention to that. Or if you're not in Toronto and you want to get more information about that, you can look them up on Twitter. There's also ones in Montreal as well too. Nothing in Ottawa yet. Well, there is an Ottawa chapter, but they're still just sort of making their movement there. But if it's always something that we've been passionate about, if you want to get more involved as well, reach out and we can point you in the right direction there too. That's nice.
Yeah.
And last but not least, I am Cyber James, and I am here to tell you how you can get into cyberspace yourself. If you like what we're doing on the show and you have game stuff that you are working on or game adjacent stuff that you are working on and you would like to be on a Dirty Rectangles in the future, please do not hesitate to contact us. You can get us at on Twitter at rectangles_TO. For the Toronto folks. And what is the one for Ottawa? I assume it's just Dirty Rectangles.
Yeah.
I get it every time. And right now Twitter's the best way to contact us. There is a message thing on dirtyrectangles.com, but does that work, Derek? I don't know.
Try it. I don't know.
Maybe a bit. Maybe if you want to be sure to get us, maybe don't try that one. So Twitter for now.
If you like living life on the edge, go for it. Click that button.
we might have some other systems set up in the near future. But yes, please don't hesitate. Always looking for people. Or hopefully when the live ones start up again. Same thing, if you want to be the guest speaker, if you just want to show something small, we have spaces for all kinds of projects.
Yeah, anything large or small, anything from a 5-minute student presentation all the way up to you're just about to release your AAA indie game. We're more than happy to let you show it off using our venue.
This is fun. You guys having fun? I'm already having fun.
I finished this one.
Really
having a good time.
Yeah,
it's nice.
I got myself a classic Baltica.
Put all the crew together.
Yeah,
okay.
Baltica.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we're going to set up our first presenter, and we're going to get going in just a little bit. So sit tight. It's just going to take us a minute to get Dave here into the chat, get him all set up. Oh, Eric, going for the dramatic exit. So sit tight, and we'll be back in just a minute. are back with the one and only Dave Proctor. All right,
Hi.
Dave, I'll let you do your introductions here.
Jeez. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure that my face is just enormous right now. It's great. Thanks a lot for having me. Really appreciate it. My name's Dave. I work at and run a company called Mighty Yell here in Toronto. We are working on a game called The Big Con, which I am wearing the shirt of, partly because I wanted to look good for this event, but partly because, as my quarantine routine demands, I use it as like a work uniform. So it's been a real healthy way to function. Yeah, I guess we'll just dive right into it. Thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it. So I'm here to talk about what I've called open-ended adventure games. I'm assuming you can see. Can everybody see the screen right now, James?
Should be
Is that
good to
good?
go.
Yep, that's good.
Right on. Yeah, we called it branching adventure games, but I mean, like every video game branches a little bit, and that's really not the heart of what I wanted to get to. So, it is kind of a little bit of a synthesis of what I figured out working on the Big Con. I'll talk a little bit about that game, but I won't get too deep into try to sell you on it. But you can wishlist it later, and I will give you the links to do so. So, adventure games. The term itself, I don't like to be too assumptive and prescriptive about like who should know what genre is what. But an adventure game comes from the literary like a book, an adventure novel. It is a game that is a story, right? And there's often like lumped in with point and click games, anything that is all about a story. I used to teach, you know, game design students, and they'd be like, "Is it like Uncharted?" So that's it's important that I set it out there. And they're very linear, but not the Big Con, not as much. And that's what I want to talk about. This is something that I think is working really well based on how we built our game, and I can't I can't confirm that what I've discovered is like 100% reproducible. I'm sort of jumping off a cliff and then mid jump telling you to come to my lecture to find out how to land safely on the other side, but we'll figure it out. I think it's still worth sharing because best case scenario, I have some ideas about design principles to think about adventure game design or narrative game a little bit differently. Worst case scenario, I have some recommendations on how to streamline your testing and writing process, but I'll save those to the end. Okay, let's dive in. Adventure games are built on puzzles. That is a huge way to fill your gameplay quota while you are trying to get people from A to B at a story. Puzzles have a lot of different structures in adventure games, but traditionally or for ease, I'd like to refer to them in terms of keys and doors. Basically, a door is anything blocking the player from moving forward, and a key is anything that removes the blockage. So sometimes quite literally a key and a door. In Monkey Island, which I'm going to reference a lot because that's like that's in my blood. It's one of my favorite game franchises of all time. They have a rubber chicken with a pulley in the middle, and you gotta figure out how to get across a chasm by using it as like a zip line. Really stupid, really fun puzzle, but it is just a key and a door, right? And the player always finds one part of the equation above the line, and then the other part of the equation above it, and then gets to use the key on the door, the part below the line. So in this diagram, the green puzzle is how we start. We find the key, rubber chicken with the pulley in the middle. We find the zip line, and then we use one with the other, and that enables us to get to the next puzzle, pink puzzle here. Maybe we find the door first, and then we find the key, and then we figure out to use one and then the other. Let's go into like a specific. I want to talk about like a specific example. This is the Curse of Monkey Island. This is the first like puzzle room that you encounter in the game. So you are stuck in like the hold of a ship. There's a door. That's how you leave places in the world. So you automatically think, okay, I can use that door. There's even a big, huge keyhole on it, making you think like door locked. Design affordances, right? The actual solution is that you need to fire the cannon in a way that it blasts a hole through the door, and then you get to progress out on the outside of my image there. But before you can do that, there's another puzzle, and you actually have to use your words your ability as a person to stop Wally, that little pirate, from guarding the ramrod on the wall behind you. Every time you try to pick it up, he stops you. And so he's now the door. You're the key. And then once you convince him that he's a bad pirate, he starts crying. I love this game. You pick up the ramrod and you can poke it out the window. Use it with Wally's hand hook, his plastic hand hook. Get a cutlass out of the water, cut the cannon restraint rope, and blast a hole through the door. It's an awesome little set piece, and it's a huge chain of keys and doors. And this is kind of how adventure games work. The thing that excited me about it, though, was this part. Specifically, the I am the key and you are the door. So, if every adventure game follows a path of finding key to open door, then maybe, it's possible to build a game where the key is the same thing every time. There are more doors and they're all people. Maybe there's a way to not look at it as a chain of keys and doors, but as a collection of keys. Maybe there's a way to think about progress a little bit differently. So you're not trying to get to the end, you're trying to build up a quantity of successful solutions. It's just a different way to function. And I thought that's what was really interesting about it. This is the kind of adventure game that I wanted to make. Because if you could talk your way through the door, wouldn't you? Right? And then, you start thinking, well, okay, so what kind of solution can be applied to every puzzle? What kind of solution is a solution that you use in quantity, specificity? And the answer is, of course, money, which led to making a game about con artists. You can go to that link on your own time. Stuff in there. So Big Con is an adventure game about a young woman con artist in the 1990s. And the thing that is most important to me about it, from a design perspective, is that we're trying to break the endless chain of keys into doors. So the core tenet of the Big Con is for the player to feel like a con artist. Premise here is that your family video store has been threatened by loan sharks, and you take it on yourself to travel the country with, this is Ted, your enigmatic con artist mentor, and learn, the tricks of the trade, how to hustle the money that you need. In feeling like a con artist, one of the sort of more important things was that they should feel like they're designing the scam. So we're not running them through this key door chain. So to accomplish that, we moved the goal. We moved the final door. The financial goal is the same basic premise in every level: get X dollars to progress. This changes how the player looks at the level. They don't look at it as a series of events they have to get through. They feel a bit more empowered. At least that's what the playtesters say. Well, I don't know if they're lying to me. This changes how you're thinking about the game on like a cognitive level. There's never a question about what you're doing. You're never like, oh God, I had the rubber chicken with the pulley in the middle. What was I supposed to do with that? It was in the middle of a zip line, whatever. It's always trying to open the door. So it looks a little bit more like this. I want to make the player feel like they're making keys. I want to make the player feel like they're finding the keys themselves. Now, I mean, this isn't a systemic game. We tried that. It's too much work, as it always is. But you walk in the door, or you walk into the level. I got to really stick with my metaphors here. And you know the idea. You know where the door is, and you just have to find enough keys to get through. There's some pacing changes and some scripted events that make it feel like you're progressing narratively through a story. There are people that you check in with. There are events that happen throughout the level. But you con the people that you want to con. You do the investigations that are important to you, and you make the hustle that makes sense to you. You investigate the keys that you want and add them to your wallet. So, we are not without the door key chain. This is we have the main sort of puzzle in the level is that there are burblos, which is essentially our Furby, and everybody in the mall wants one. And you have to figure out who needs it. Got to move the key to the door. It's not there because it has to be there. It's one of many ways that you can get money, and it's only one type of way to do it. And it's important to me that we break from this like key door repetition. So we also have like information inventory puzzles like this. This is you sneak on and behind that snack cart there, and you overhear that this woman's girlfriend is she has a wallet with, maybe there's money in it, and she's in a change room in a costume shop. This doesn't work like you get information and you have to bring it to that woman and the thing. It actually is more like a lever that you pull and it opens the hatch in the floor. It's a passive opportunity to get money that rewards exploration as opposed to bringing point A to point B. Because we don't tell you right away where this $20 is. And then there's also good old fashioned taking stuff from people, pickpocketing. It's a simple grab. It's a simple key. It's another couple bucks to get money for train tickets, but it comes with a risk. So you can do it fast, but it could get you caught, and it's never enough to get you through the level. All of these things are there to amplify player freedom, general sense of like, I can do anything, I can go around. Now, no, they can't do anything. They can do the things that we tell them to do, but by spreading these things around and not making it a linear cause effect chain, it makes it a lot easier to make them feel empowered and strong and invested in their cons. I love adventure games, but they can leave you feeling stuck if you don't know exactly what the designer intended the solution. So, money is something that people understand, right? The reason that you collect coins in games. It's because it automatically has value and people know that it's important. So this is the sort of premise of what I'm trying to do. And let's talk about how to. Because, not all of this is infinitely relatable, but I hope there's some takeaways that help you kind of look at story content in maybe a different way than just a linear series of events. So first things first. I looked at the design pillars of the game, core sort of tenets that I think are important. Feeling like a con artist, we wanted it to be funny. We wanted it to feel like 1990s, but con artist thing is most important. There's always got to be multiple solutions to every problem. So I sat down and said what I want the sort of desired outcome of a player experience for level should be. And then with the help of George Degenkamp and Jill Murray and Saffron Aurora, we came up with a method of actually tiering out how we build content, how we build this like miasma of keys for gameplay flow. So the desired outcome. Wanted a game that featured a series of levels with singular goal, an interesting or unique narrative through line in each level, but one that you don't necessarily have to be forced through, and because you have multiple ways to accomplish your goal. So this is the outcome. This is step one: is stay exactly what you want a player to get out of this experience, and what we want the design structure to look like. And then we set the goal. Like I've already talked about this, Ted here, but it's important to kind of state where the door is from the get-go. We break this rule a little bit on our first level. I'm going to show you some of that in a minute. It's super unfinished. It's going to be great. But having like an easy place, an easy starting point to say exactly what the player has to do, and a clear understanding of where they have to be when they finish is basically introducing the puzzle, right? It's that repetition of key and door, but it's just like, there's the door. What are you going to do? And then we can also set up the narrative understanding of the goal of level 2. So it's not just mechanically get $300. It's also you are coming from your hometown. You are going to a train station. What is the emotional ride there? How do I want the player to feel throughout those beats? Let's talk about those beats. Okay, so this is these are some spreadsheets. This is really small on my screen, so probably even worse for everybody else. But this is a very rough and early breakdown of how we move through narrative progression in a game like this. There are marked states, on the far left there. Start of the level. This is our very first level, by the way. So start of the level, the realization that your video store is going to be gone, and then you have your bus tickets and you're ready to go. And I've broken down like rough play times, general like player emotions we want to hit, and even what the music sounds like, descriptions of mandatory actions, things you have to do. And kind of more important to this talk is the optional actions, right? So we break through everything that I need the player to do, break through everything that I give the player an opportunity to do, and write that all down really early before I even start, putting pen to paper, so to speak. And we'll revisit the spreadsheet in a moment because your game designers they like spreadsheets. And then we create a narrative through line. So the core puzzle that I mentioned that Jill wrote for the mall level is that there are burblos and there are people that want them. It's key door chain, and it has enough sort of self-containedness that you don't spend the whole level doing it. It even has jumping off points to give you more challenges if you want. So you meet, the sad dad. You find out that he wants a burblo for his daughter, and you find one hidden, near the rich dad on the other end of the mall. This actually moves you around, the mall, so that you're also encountering other content along the way. You are being hinted with the idea that, oh, I can fish a coin out of the fountain, or I can phone my mom, or I can, go to the food court. Maybe there's something up there. There's different scams up at the food court. This is our sort of like main narrative story beat, apart from Allie's huger story, and then we let the player ignore it if they want to. You get told that there's burblos here because I want you to know that there's something you can do. There's something about telling the player what to do that is limiting. But if you tell them that there is something of value, it is empowering. There is a difference. If they think, I'm going to go check that out, how they approach that puzzle feels completely different. So we've tiered out our kind of gameplay content into 3 different levels. There's the high level puzzle, which is, like I described, a bigger thing. It takes more energy or has more risk. It pays off bigger. Some of it keys to doors, but some of it are higher stakes pickpockets. It's something to think about, something to put more energy. And then we go into the medium level. It is things with fewer steps, things that pay out less and have repeated structures. It's a way to recognize similar content and get into it over and over again. And then we have low level, finding it $5 in a garbage can, or pickpocketing people is another way of looking at it. They're an easy way to get money. They pay out the least. And think about these things in terms of other game types, right? Like the way that I have referred to easily pickpocketed NPCs is cannon fodder, right? They're just they're an enemy that you can cut through really quickly. So I'm thinking about brawlers, right? I'm thinking about games that aren't narrative games to help come up with new ways to look at it. And we also created a branch point to the high level quest that is a second high level quest if people really want to get into it, really want to go deep. At that point, they do have enough money if they finish it to finish the level. They because we've had their attention. They're excited. It's something that not everybody's going to see, and it's hard to do, but it feels pretty good when you do it. And that's a risk of building stuff like this. Sometimes people don't see everything. And I mean, we're making video games that sometimes people don't see at all. Like, that's a real risk no matter what we do. I guess we've just kind of leaned into it a little bit more and provided enough incentive that the player will see enough content one way or another. So long as that content is valuable, then they'll have a good story to tell. This is that spreadsheet again, as I promised. So this is, how I think about these things from a systems design level. I actually go through and state like an average amount that I can pickpocket from people, and how many people we can pickpocket, average amount of side quests, average amount of how much the main quest it requires you to get. And at the far right there, I can say that there's a rolling minimum and a rolling maximum, the amount of money that you narratively will definitely end up with, and the amount of money that you could end up with if I let you go crazy. It helps me sort of, obviously fill out the blanks as we make the game. But it's a way to make sure that there's enough for players to do. It's a way to track what they have available to them. And this doesn't just apply to money-based interactions, but it's something that we can learn from money-based interactions in games. It's the same thing as balancing experience points in an RPG, right? Like, just got into this zone. How much do I want you to level up? What is the minimum I want you to level up? So I'm going to put my major things through there. How much can I let you level up before, thanks to the way that RPGs work, you hit diminishing returns. You don't want to play them anymore. You don't want to play that particular zone anymore. You want to move forward. It's, again, just like another. Not every narrative game has to have this linear design setup. Sometimes you can look to your RPG, see how they function, see how it means to progress in something else. And then the final point was let them accomplish these things however they want. And this is the hard part, because when you say that you want to make something open-ended, it is a lot of work. It's a lot of testing. Possibility space is huge. And the amount of work that is required to build something that the player can do in any order is not easy. Is not small. But the result is pretty cool. So there are ways to mitigate this difficult part, and I wanted to show you a couple real quick. I'm going to try to boot up Unity, and we're going to hope that that it doesn't clunk too much. And I'm going to show you some real early stuff. The things I'm going to show you are first template conversations. If you're writing a narrative game, if you're making a story game, the idea of repeating core conversation templates or repeating anything feels weird. It feels like you're kind of cheating. But I think you got to forgive yourself a little bit, right? People aren't going to see every single thing you make. And if they do, you're building something that's different from a bespoke linear story. You're building, a start and an end and an opportunity to fill out the middle. And I'm not the first person to tell you this about narrative games, right? It's the way that we think about big story adventures where you move a character around, that they're always end up being these linear pieces. No one complains that every Goomba is the same, right? It's okay if NPCs are fungible. Because here in this game, what I'm doing is I'm building an experience the player is exploring and putting things together. So template conversations, and the other one is scriptable objects. We have the ability to create conversations while we are running the simulation, while we are testing, which has saved me so much time. I can't even begin to describe it. But without further ado, let's look at some unfinished nonsense. So I am going to I'm going to open up Unity here in a second. Give me 1 second here. Go share my whole screen. So you're going to see something super new and super early. Pardon the recursive nature of video here. So this is a segment of gameplay from Allie's hometown. We just snuck out of our room. We just found out that we have to find hundreds of thousands of dollars. Also, if things are a little bit clunky stream-wise, I apologize. My internet's been a bit slow lately. But we head back out into Lisbon County. Now, again, very early gray box stuff. Every NPC is the exact same. But I want to show you what I'm doing here. So the way our game works is that you can approach people and you get contextual clues about how to sort of interrupt them or how to start conversations with them. It's up to you, who you talk to at this point. What I'm doing under the hood is I've changed the music, which you can't hear right now, unfortunately. And I've made all of these NPCs sort of talk about money and behave a little shitty because I want the player to feel a bit more stuck, a bit more like, oh, everything has to do with money. So let's talk to Haley here for a second. So Haley is your old best friend's new best friend, and she has a little talk with you. And don't have to be nice to me. See you around. And that's the bulk of her conversation. Let's go down here. This is Chris. Chris is someone from your band camp. You play the trombone, and he sucks. So we have to go. Sucks. We have to go to band camp. Have to. Allie, my parents practically own the campsite. Dad reinvested the profits. I don't have to read this for you. Y'all can read. You found the instructions to get. All right. So that's 2 people. You'll notice that the conversation structure is actually incredibly simple. There's an intro walk-up line. There's Ali says something, and then there's a little bit of back and forth, and then there's an endpoint, and then there's a walk-away line there. And how this works. I can probably open this up. Things are just a little bit slow when I'm also streaming all of my computer. Just to give you a rough idea of how our systems work. Sorry, everybody from the team that I didn't tell I was doing. But we're running a conditional check to see how many times I've talked to this NPC, and we run through that conversation I just talked about, and then the next thing that I will show you in a second is that if we've talked to more than 3 people, we introduce the next story beat. And so there's a story beat line down here. I have the ability. It's not really super necessary to show you right now, but I have the ability to edit this stuff as we go. Bandcamp is like the most important 3 weeks of our lives. Let's save that. And get back into the engine. 2 weeks. Three weeks. There we go. This is a vital feature, is that ability to test things as we go. And the conversation structure of this template is something that I've actually been able to repeat. So I use the exact same node, copy paste it, and just fill out as much content as I need. Yeah, it's repeating content, but I'll tell you what, it doesn't have to be. So Mary is your old friend. Where's Mary out for money? Mary out for money. So I can run a bit more of an emotionally charged conversation here. Or if I go to construction workers, I've got Mitch, who just kind of only ever says, yeah. We can make things feel, the way they need to feel. And we can repeat that content because I need to make a lot of it. So something's got to give. Let's go back to my thing here, and I'll wrap up and then I don't know. We just hang out. I don't know what happens. Dirty rectangles online. I think I opened the wrong thing. I think I opened my presenter notes. Yeah, absolutely did. Let's take a quick look at the build. Why don't we? This is what happens when you do things online. Everything goes wrong. All right, there we go. Okay. So things to take away. You can't see my screen right now, I don't think, but I'll just talk about things to take away. Maybe you can see it, maybe you can't. You can what? See what? Me?
We see you right now.
That's fine. I'm the show. Things to take away. Adventure doesn't mean linear experience. It can be pretty hard to know how to start. So I hope there's some ideas here to make you think about, I need to tell a story. Can I make the player feel like they're progressing by giving them their own agency and just interrupting them with new ways of playing, new ideas? How does that feel? What story does that tell? Other takeaway: learn from other genres. Pick up stuff from the RPG progress thing is huge. The way that I was thinking about brawler enemies is another has been very helpful in sort of templating and tiering NPCs. These are systems that exist and they make sense. So why not use them? Why not try to tell stories with them? How could you use the mechanics from a strategy game? How could you use the mechanics from an idle game to make you satisfy a conversation? And then the third takeaway is and I have a very funny slide where it just says non-procedural narrative generation, which is my fancy way of saying you just have to write a bunch sometimes. I know there's a lot of work going into make these things easier, but I don't know. Sometimes it's easier in different ways. Sometimes it's harder. This is a challenging thing to do. That I'm trying to do, but it's making something fun and interesting. I'm super stoked about it. But if you have to do this, you have to follow me for some crazy reason. Be able to template, copy your content, repeat it, because how many times the NPC replies is up to you, and that feels different enough. to not have to rewrite every single conditional node, not have to rewrite every single stat check, and be able to edit while you're testing. Again, scriptable objects seem to satisfy this for us, but I was going through a difficult situation. I had a character disappear, and every playtester was like, "I need to find her and bring her to site." But I knew that if I brought her out, I'd have to consider all these like, "Oh, what does she say when I have this? What does she say when I do this?" So I just set her up in the level, and I just walked up to her with the item. Did she say the right thing? No. Change it. Walk back. Check it. Walk away. New item. Walk back. Check it. Back. Check it. It's honestly, as opposed to playing through the entire level 6 times, it saved tons of time. So that, like, this kind of gets around Unity's big. I will wipe your changes when you stop the play button, and it really helps to make content and check your logic. That's everything I want to talk about. Thank you very much for having me and for listening to me. You can go to thebigcongame.com and learn more about our game and join our mailing list and wish list and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I just really appreciate it. Thank you.
Cool. This is awesome. Woo woo woo. Let's do a little.
Yeah, thanks so much.
I can feel the applause.
Yeah, hell yeah. Look at that.
All over
all
the Southern Ontario. Very good.
So I think there was
let's get some bug champs in the chat.
Yeah, we got a couple questions here.
We gotta get used to
That's
applauding
great.
people. Yeah, we had a few questions from chat. So some of these already got answered in chat. I see some of your team members are lurking in the chat, and we're already jumping on questions. But I thought I'd ask them anyway, just for the video.
Yeah, please do. I haven't checked over in the chat because the video's going.
Psychic Parrot was asking, is the dialogue narrative system a custom tool, or is that more of a third-party job that you were using for that?
Yeah, it is a custom tool. I can't speak to the ability to template and like edit while testing of something like Fungus or dialogue system or anything like that. We built this from the ground up. It was the slower way to do things, but ultimately the best possible way because we have full control over everything it needs to do. If you have to bypass that, I would just try to make sure that you can copy paste content. That would be the most important thing.
We had another question from Wolflocks. If the goal wasn't explicitly numeric, like in this case currency, could you still use this narrative structure? How would you approach it?
100%. I would say like so we have another quest that I didn't show you in the mall, but it's a blind taste test for a fictional canned meat product, and you have to answer questions about it based on stuff that you overhear from other people. That is, it's not numeric. It is. There are 4 things you need to learn. So there is a number there, but I mean, I think a lot of game design stuff boils down to numbers. But information, I've learned X, Y, Z, or I now know maybe the goal can be find the door. I need you to find the secret entrance, and then you start talking to people, and who you talk to and what they require to get that information out of them is different from person to person. That's like off the top of my head, and now I'm going to use it because I think it's a good idea.
Here's a short-term one. Someone here, Prime Material Cast, was wondering how big your team is.
Yeah, so these sort of major design stuff was a team of 4 for the last couple of years. The stuff that we beat through to kind of get to this chat, and then we also have 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4 or 5 more contractors that are on. 5 more contractors that are on, and have started doing more things than just like the core design stuff. It's a pretty cool team.
That's cool. One last question here. So coming from Emma Page here in the chats, how do you feel about some of the more classic adventure game rules, such as no mazes, no red herrings, keys before doors, not after, and so on? Do you adhere to them or break them? How do you decide? and by feel or by heuristics or something?
I mean, mazes are kind of soft, like, but it depends on the kind of maze. No, I like walking through a maze is a puzzle with one solution. And also it's the same solution in every maze. So it's like a little bit less interesting, I feel. And, you know, there's not any more information you can give a player about a maze that helps them solve it. But, you know, again, Monkey Island has space paradox puzzles in every game. Like you're in a world where you go off the left and you come in on the right, and you have to try to like go through the right door and stuff like that. I feel like that's the type of maze, but it's based on information you get. You solve it through information. No red herrings, I think, is good, especially like for this kind of game. And I want people to explore, and I want them to experience more conversations with more people. So filling them up with information is difficult unless you see. Now it just gave me a stupid idea. Like, what if you had a character whose name was Red Herring that just told you like dumb things that don't help you at all? So that would be great. Yeah, gonna and like Keys Before Doors, not after. I would argue that I've played just as many puzzles that I do. So like I think I'm sure there are good rules, but I also like we're making an adventure game that is a bit open ended, so you have to be able to fail too. And I don't necessarily agree with adventure games that make you fail, like playing Zack McCracken and dying sucks. Unless it's unless it's something that is forgiven, and we have like a forgiveness system in our failure. I just don't want people running around pickpocketing being bad at it, because then they're not really like paying close attention to how the game functions. You know, I think anything is possible so long as you believe, and that's the end of my sentence. No, anything is possible so long as you believe that what you're asking your player to do lines up with the emotions that you want them to feel, the experience that you want them to have. If you want them to be lost in a maze, like, yes, mazes are one type of puzzle, but I still think about the Silent Hill demo that came with my like official PlayStation magazine that was just a maze, and you just got lost and then you got killed by zombies, and it was like the best. It was so good.
Buy the game?
Yeah, absolutely it did. Right? It was super cool. I was like, oh man, what if I could feel like being lost and then being murdered by zombies? It sounds fantastic. My attitude on that has changed, but yeah, no, I just think you can. I think you should break rules, right? But I think you have to know why you're breaking them.
Cool. Well, Dave, thank you so much for your time. This has been absolutely amazing. Hope you hang out and chat for a little bit. I'm sure there'll probably be some
absolutely
thrown out at you.
I'd love to. I'm gonna
go ahead.
I'm gonna go to typing chat, so I'll be around for a bit.
Hell yeah. Cool. We're going to take a quick 2 minutes while we get set up with the next presenter. So next we're going to be moving into our open floor session. So a bunch of people we got lined up. We got 7 people showing off games tonight. It's going to be great. Don't go anywhere. Stick around. Dave, again, thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dave.
and we are back with the one and only Alan Pestolucci. What's going on?
Hey, I'm super excited to be here.
So excited for this. Take it away.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks. So, hi, friends. Thank you for joining me on the very first Dirty Rectangles Online. Super stoked to be here. So today I want to show off a vector video game engine that I've been working on. So it's a video game engine that renders to vector displays. Vector displays are something that really have enamored me for a long time because of the old Asteroids arcade game. You can do some interesting things with them, but first I'm going to kind of explain what they are and how they work and what I'm doing with them. So a vector display is different than a raster display. A raster display will draw to the screen line by line. A vector display draws just in any arbitrary motion. And that's really it's kind of a totally different paradigm for drawing images to a screen. And so yeah, you can just move this kind of, it's like moving a pen around while you're doing calligraphy, and you just draw to the screen. So on the screen you can actually see me drawing this cube shape. And what I'm doing is I'm moving an electron beam around the screen, rendering at 80 frames per second. So it'll draw one frame, it'll draw the cube in one position, and then it'll rotate slightly and draw it in another position and rotate it slightly and continue doing that. And I actually have it so that it blanks. So that means that it turns off the electron beam in between different lines that it's drawing. Now, I'm not turning it totally off because some technical details I can get into in a moment. So if I turn up the intensity, you can actually see there the electron beam as it goes from the bottom left. That's where I'm moving the electron beam when I'm done my frame, but I'm waiting to start the next frame. So I just move it off screen. And so you can see there with those little faint lines, that's where the electron beam is moving between the different shapes. All right, so yeah, so that's kind of the idea of how I'm drawing frame by frame that cube. But I want to get into a little bit more details on the inner workings of CRT and like a CRT vector display. So the way that a CRT works is you've got an electron beam that shoots against the screen. The screen has a bunch of phosphors and they light up because the electrons that are bombarding the phosphors. Now, so again, of the electron beam, I'm steering it around. The way that I'm steering it is using, in the case of this oscilloscope, using electrostatic deflection, but you can also steer it like in a normal CRT TV or like in the Asteroids arcade machine. You can steer it using magnetic deflection. So magnetic deflection is actually very similar to the speakers that we're all used to listening through. So a speaker has got a magnetic coil, and you send a voltage to that magnetic coil, and it'll move as the voltage goes high, it moves the speaker cone one way. As the voltage goes low, it moves the speaker cone another way. And CRT, it works pretty much the exact same way, except it has two channels, one for the y-axis, one for the x-axis, and as the deflection for the y-axis gets changed by voltage, the electron beam moves up and down on the screen, or left and right, and you can basically steer that electron beam around the screen like it's an Etch-a-Sketch. So then the question is, well, how am I generating my voltage that is driving this driving the deflection of the electron beam? And there's actually a really easy way to do this, and this inspiration comes from a guy, I think his name is I'm not going to say it because I'm going to butcher it, but instead take a look on Google for oscilloscope music. That was where the inspiration for this type of technology that I'm using comes from. Oscilloscope music is music that is designed to both sound good and then also look good on an oscilloscope. So when you pump the voltage that is the music, the audio stream for the music, into the oscilloscope, it creates interesting images on that oscilloscope. So basically, I'm doing something similar. I'm using an audio device to output a voltage to my oscilloscope. So on my computer, I render an audio stream, and that audio stream plays out to gets sent out to my audio DAC, my digital analog converter. So then the digital analog converter sends out an analog signal that is just like sound that you can listen to with headphones. Or I can plug it into my oscilloscope, and now it drives the electron beam. So left channel is going to be the x-axis, right channel is going to be the y-axis, and that's how I steer my electron beam around. So just to be visual about it, There you can see that's my oscilloscope and then also my audio interface, as well as all the cables that I got wired up there. So that's what you're seeing. All right. Yeah, so I think that kind of describes the basics of what I'm doing there. So I'm going to move on to show you some other demos that I have. So this was just a simple cube. This is actually what I started out with, the very first thing that I drew. Now I'm going to show you another shape. This one's kind of a fun one. So this here is it's drawing. Again, I'm running at, this is my engine runs at 80 frames per second right now, but it is a variable frame rate. So if it takes too long to draw something on the screen, well, then that frame just took longer. So if I have more shapes added to the scene, well, that means that, it's going to take longer per frame, and then eventually you'll start to get a flicker. Once you get it down to around like 40 hertz is when I start seeing it. Yes, that's the idea of the variable frame rate in my engine. So again, 80 frames per second is what this is running at right now, and each frame it will draw this shape, and you'll notice there's one really, really bright point. So that bright point, and I'm just going to, for the clarity here, I'm actually just going to pause some stuff. Pause it at a good point. Wait for it to rotate back a little bit here. So pause that there. And so you can see, yeah, this is just a rotation that I had in my game engine that was going there. And then I'll also pause the animation here, just for clarity's sake. So this is just repeating that exact same image over and over and over again on the screen. And what you can see here is there's a point that's really, really bright. Now, unfortunately, what I love so much about vector displays is exactly what you guys cannot see, because you're not using a vector display. You're using like an LCD screen or whatever you're watching this on. And when I look at this, I see a point of light that's very, very bright. It's a very, very high contrast. And it's not something that's easy to reproduce on other types of displays without burning out the display. You can get kind of close with like a high dynamic range OLED display, but again, you're probably going to burn it out pretty quick if you tried to get the kind of contrast that I'm able to achieve here with this vector display with these phosphors. So how am I lighting it up so bright? Well, the simple answer, it's actually quite simple. I just leave the electron beam on that point for a very long time, and the longer I leave that on that point, the brighter it becomes, because those phosphors just get saturated with the electrons that are hitting it. To draw this shape, at the very start, I spend a long time drawing that first little curve, and then as I move along, I spend less and less time drawing the rest of the shape until it finishes, and then on to the next frame. Again, very, very, very slow at the beginning, and then continue going along. And that's how I get this effect of a really bright point and then kind of this decreasing brightness. It's just because it's drawing the rest of it faster every single frame, 1/80th of a second. So that's the gist of how this shape works. It's kind of cool effects that you can achieve with this. This shape that I'm actually drawing here, it's just a circle, but then I'm just adding on to the XY coordinates that I'm creating, just adding on lots of other little samples. Another thing maybe to throw out here is that I'm generating in software 192,000 samples per second. So that's the audio sample rate. And that means that there's 192,000 of these points that I'm defining on the screen that tells the electron beam move here, move here, move here, move here, 192,000 times a second. And then also the audio DAC has a little bit of smoothing in it, so it creates these nice smooth transitions between each of these 192,000 samples that happen every single second. So that's the gist of how this is working. Move on to the next shape, the next little demo. So I do want to create a video game engine that runs on vector displays. So here's something that's kind of like a little bit more of a video game type scene. I've got this kind of first person type controller, and I can move it around, and it's a full 3D video game engine. What I'm using for my software is I'm using .NET. And I'm using a couple of classes, just a couple of classes from the monogame framework, as well as an ASIO audio driver wrapper that works in .NET, and that's how I'm interfacing with the audio device. So yeah, something that's a little bit more like a video game engine. If I go over here, especially when the tops and bottoms of these cubes are drawing, this is where the frame rate really starts to tank because it's trying to draw too much, especially because I'm drawing all these lines really slowly right now. And so I can see a flicker. You probably might be able to see it on stream a little bit as well. Yeah, and this scene also shows a little bit of some post-processing that I've got going on these cubes. It's like a strobe post-processing where it cuts out parts of the cube. And the inspiration or the reason that I created this whole post-processing effect that cuts out parts of the object is because I thought this might be a clever way to reduce the amount that I'm trying to draw at the screen. So if I get to the point where I'm trying to draw too much on the screen, well, if I only draw part of the shape at a time, now I've got more headroom to draw other things to the screen because I only have a certain amount of things that I can draw before I run out of time. And I really should get on to drawing the next frame. Otherwise, it'll start looking like it's flickering. Okay. And here's another fun shape that I created. So this is, again, a post-processing. And this one's kind of fun to play around with. So I think, oops, I accidentally rotated. So I'm just going to restart that to give us a nicer view of it. So this shape here is actually just kind of like a curly thing that's curling upwards. And I have a post-processing effect that's just disabling the samples at certain X coordinates. So I can go and kind of configure these in different ways. Like, for example, I can make it go really fast. Ooh, that's super fast. Maybe not so fast. Still very fast. There we go. So yeah, I can change the speed of that or whatever. I can change some other numbers. Just, it's a video game engine. They're numbers. So there's one where it just strobes really slow. It's a large strobe or whatever you want to say. I could go to, yeah, that was kind of neat. So there's kind of some interesting effects that you can do just with post-processing. And the way that my post-processing works is that it's each individual sample gets passed to a post-processor, either at the 3D state or at the 2D screen space state, and I can do all types of effects. Yeah, so that's some of the things. I have a little basic editor that I've written, and I'm not showing that today because I don't have enough time to go into that detail. And also, I think I'm going to throw it all away and do something else because I wrote it in WPF over like a day or two, and it's the start of something, but immediately I started having issues with multi-threading. So I'm just going to ditch that and go with a single-threaded, like built into the engine, maybe using Dear IM GUI. Anyway, okay, but I know that you're all here to see video games. So I started work on a video game. So this here is kind of like a little, well, I mean, it's not much of anything. You can kind of move this spaceship around. And I didn't really get to any interactions. I just started this a couple of days ago. But I did have a little bit of a post-process effect that when you run into things, like if I run into these shapes, then the little, like the big kind of curly ones, yeah, you guys can see it. So yeah, this is the gist of it. You can also see here, the video capture kind of shows how bright those points are that are inside the rotating cubes that are flying at you. And in person, it's the spectacle that I really want to create with this game engine, these kind of really super bright points of light. So there's a lot more that I can do in terms of not just like effects like the post-processing effects of like running into these things, but also I can do all types of other effects with really bright points of lights, and that's what I want to experiment with next. I've got a couple more things to show just about the inner workings of this level. If anybody was paying close attention to the visuals of this scene, you might be able to take a guess that, like many other people, I've been playing Animal Crossing. So, of course, now that I mentioned that, maybe some of you noticed that the world curves off into the distance. And so that curving it's basically made to just look similar to Animal Crossing. So that's actually a post-processing effect that I created where it basically is just polar coordinates. So there's without the polar coordinate post-processing, and there's with. So without it, you can see that the objects are popping in the distance there. They just kind of appear and pop into existence. And so the great thing about this Animal Crossing style world wrapping is that now you have them come up over the horizon, and you don't really need to have fog at that point. They just kind of naturally come into view. And that's a really nice way of having that kind of fog. It's almost like fog. Yeah. So that, I think, is pretty much the gist of what I wanted to show tonight. And I'm so excited to be able to finally show it at a Dirty Rectangles meetup, which is exactly where I want to demo this kind of thing. So thank you all for coming. I guess that's been my 15-minute slot. So if, I don't know, it's up to the organizer. If you guys want to jump in and if there's any questions.
There's got to be a question.
Yeah, sure.
Someone's got to have a question here. Holy shit,
yeah,
Alan. Before we get to questions, can I just take a hot second here? I've been looking forward to this. When you switched from rotating cube to fucking video game, I just about lost it a little bit, and I think so did basically everyone else in the chat. This is so
yeah.
cool.
This is top tier rectangles. Like some of the best. Like this is like classic, crazy like '90s hacker shit that like we love. This is like this is incredible.
Thanks, guys. You guys are my family with this stuff. I love it.
Okay, someone got a question for Alan?
Yeah, we've got a few. Sean LeBlanc was asking, have you tried listening to the actual audio signal that goes into making
oh my
scenes?
Gosh.
Or is
my
it
bad.
basically noise?
I totally had my headphones right here, so you could listen to it.
Oh my god!
So you can kind of hear like, yeah, as things get kind of like close to the camera and things like that, the audio signal changes quite a bit. The kind of harshness, the buzzing noise is mostly because I'm blanking, so it's going off screen. So that's very much like a hard, kind of like almost like a square wave type signal. That's why you get the buzzing, but. Yeah, that's what you hear. And that's pretty much the same sound as what you would hear in all of the other demo scenes. I don't think it's substantially different. I'm not going to reload different scenes just to basically have a similar kind of audio sound.
I don't know if you're familiar with the old vector graphics game, Major Havoc.
I'm not. I should look into it. I am just really not well. I didn't grow up in the era. And so like, it's just like I randomly find some reference and somebody mentions something to me. So I'm going to look this one up now.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Stuff like the Vectrex and all these old vector monitor games, they're all before my time, but it was like a little while ago that I started looking into it on YouTube and stuff like that. And it's really interesting to look at because obviously raster graphics, really took over, and that's what we're all used to looking at these days. But if you ever get the chance to really look at one of these vector monitors in real life, I think it's a great experience for everyone to have. It truly looks different than...
Yeah, look for Asteroids. House of Targ actually has an Asteroids cabinet, but right now it's under repairs. I'm not sure.
Well, the thing I was going to say is even something like Asteroids is fairly simple and straightforward, but if you look at, they really start making some pretty sophisticated games with these monitors. Sega made a game called TAC, some number, I can't remember, but just what I really love about them is that back in those days when the raster graphics, the sprite-based games had to be so simple, vector monitor games really managed to portray these like extremely dynamic, like 3D scenes that you just couldn't see in any other game. But I definitely recommend looking up Major Havoc, where it actually transitions from like a shooter scene, and then it like zooms all the way into the guy in the cockpit of the spaceship, and then he has to like run around inside of space stations and stuff like that. Really amazing stuff. When you consider like the time when it was made, like just absolutely awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jumping in, Alan. It looks even better at 80 frames than it does in the Twitch stream, and it looks super cool in the Twitch stream. So great work.
Rocking.
Cool. All right, Alan. Thank you so much. Let's get some claps in the chat and some claps from the organizers here. Cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
We're gonna get the next.
Throw down a couple of.
Go ahead,
Liam. Pog champs in there.
Yep. All right, we'll see you soon. We are back with our open floor, continuing on with the one and only Toronto's own Jim McGinley. What's going on, Jim? Oh, getting a little stuttery here.
Screaming.
There we go. Are we back? Jim, you there?
I am here.
Perfect. All right. It's all yours. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Hi, I'm Jim McGinley. My wife and I are creating the game in front of you called N-Light. I'm watching the stream, and it's actually a little more chaotic on the stream than it is on my computer. So it's also the frame rate over, it's such a chaotic game that I think I'm killing the frame rate of Twitch.
It's too powerful.
Burn Twitch down.
Okay, I'm going to switch the level to a level called Waves. And let me know if you can hear me.
You hear loud and clear so far.
Okay. Okay, cool. People can hear me, and I'm just what you do in the game. It's very simple. Your goal is to pick up 5 hoops. And I gather sound's not working because of the way I'm broadcasting, so you'll have to imagine wishing by.
No, I think we can hear it on the stream.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. That's great.
All right. Well, let me get some hoops here. Oh, it just looks really bad on the Twitch. All right. I'm just going to, I guess, demo a few more levels here. And the gist of it is simply that every time you get a hoop, you get a shield that allows you to blast through the walls. So unlike other games where it's like one hit, you die, it's about getting the hoops enough to let you smash through walls so you can keep surviving.
Sort of like an extremely ballistic Sonic.
A little. And there's a lot of freedom when it comes to flying around. All right, my plan was to actually show the more chaotic levels, but I think I'm going to switch that. It's already too chaotic. Let's try this. All right. Let's see here. There we go. This one should be a little bit more. I see the comment, the compression hates it, but you can see the intent. Basically, what we've been doing is there's a lot of particles on the screen, so the idea is there's always something flying by to give you a sense of speed. So rather than like speed up the game, it's just to have more and more stuff to fly by, because it turns out that gives you a better sensation. But this does not help Twitch at all. It also doesn't help the YouTube videos. So maybe our new cut line should be a game that cannot be played on Twitch.
It's too intense for Twitch.
Yeah, it's very Space Giraffe meets the CGI shorts they used to play on YTV.
Well, the Yeah, well, that was kind of like Space Giraffe, Rez. Those kind of games are the inspiration, but without being as locked. Like you're somewhat on rails, but not entirely. So like, what I'll do here is I'll go off level. And these background cubes, if you can't reach them, they will kill you. Let's see here. Oh, well. Getting a little more dangerous. Getting brought back. All right, let me see. 935. What I'll do, so this is sort of the, again, like the game itself is pretty well what you see here. The thing is, you can imagine that constantly having to go through levels like this gets exhausting. So there's little break levels called, we call them outside, for lack of a better word. And I'm going to switch to an outside level. So the idea behind these is to give you complete freedom to fly around. Basically give you a break is really what it's about. So what you do here, it's a fairly, again, more of a bonus level where you can just fly, but the goal is go find a few hoops, but this time the hoops are just there for fun. And you can watch the level being built in front of you. So I'll just get to the front there. We can see this. Doesn't like being seen, hence all the shaking. There it is. There's the front. And I'm going to attempt to catch it. That would be the end light itself, building the levels. Doesn't like to be caught, but if you get it, oh, it's hard. Anyway, didn't catch it, but that's one of the outside levels, and I'll just show you the other. And I probably will end there. Oh, I got it. There we go. A little bit lucky there. You can see that after catching it, the bunch of particles in the air, what the level was. And here's another outside level, the little bonus level. Outside!
What's this game called, Jim?
It's called Endlight. And if you go to bigpants.ca, bigpants.ca has a newsletter, which I am going to attempt to use. I am also hoping from the stream, if anyone is interested in helping beta test, that would be amazing, because I'm pretty sure that 99% of the bugs are out, but there seems to be a couple still sticking. But Endlight is the name. And again, another outside level here.
I'm not sure I'd be able to recognize what is a bug.
Wow.
When you were working on this, how long would you say it took for it to sort of approach like the level of chaos that you have in the current like sort of build? Like, was it like right from the get-go, or like was it like how long did it take to build up to this like sort of like visual?
I would say it's more layered. The core game is kind of the same as it always was, but we just kept on layering on more particles, multi-threading to get more particles, and just kept on adding more particles until it got to be, I call it like dense enough. So how long it took, it's a little hard to say because I work full time. So this is all done on the side. Right. So you're talking a number of years, but if it was a full-time job, less years.
Yeah, it becomes hard to say.
Yeah. And I could show more levels, but I think for the most part, that is the gist of the game. You've got the inside levels where you're just smashing through things, trying to survive. And then you've got these outside levels. Why don't I end on one of the more, I'll end on one of the more impressive outside levels, if I can find it. I think it's 130 here.
Hey, Jim, in the chat, M. Lepage is wondering what platforms the game might be coming out on.
So so far, I just like a console would be great, but that I don't know if we actually have the resources or the abilities to do that. But why not? You know, it would be amazing if we could get it on one of the consoles, though. That would be the dream come true. Here, I will end on this level. So this would be like level 120. And we're no longer outside. It's not really meant to be fair, it's meant to be exciting. So you can see I'm smashing a lot, losing my shield. You get down to 0 shields, I die. Desperately hoping to find a hoop. There, I see some. You can see kind of what the game's like. You're just really trying. Get those hoops so you can have enough shields to bang through a few more things.
The audio is amazing. I love the soundscape of it.
A lot of colliders spent. Oh, there we go. I've got no shields left. Here goes. Will I find a hoop just in time? I hope so. Desperately hoping.
Pressure's on.
Oh. And what a way to end it.
Oh, wow.
There we go. Thank you so much, everyone. And again, bigpants.ca and Light looking for beta testers.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
So cool.
Beautiful.
Was there any other last questions from the chat?
Just a lot of people saying that it kicked ass. I think that Kenny was offering to try to port it over to the Switch or something.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. This is the
I think you should release
thing.
it as
we make things happen.
Bring it to the Winamp visualizer.
That's awesome. Cool, Jim. This is fucking amazing. Thank you so much for showing it. All right, we'll be right back with Age. How's it going, Paige?
Pretty good.
Good.
I hope everyone's doing well this evening. I don't know how I'm gonna possibly follow up after the craziness we just saw. But yeah, well, so anyways, I'm showing off what I worked on for Ludum. So I came up with the idea of doing the flower game because that seems on brand. And the theme for Ludum was, what was it? It was Keep It Alive. So I decided to go with keeping some flowers alive. And so I did all the art, I did the programming, and Chris helped me out with the audio, and he's hanging out in chat somewhere when he should be sleeping. So anyways, I'm gonna show off. I'm gonna go through the tutorial and just show off the game with it, and then maybe talk about some stuff that I did with it. So I go through this tutorial and I sort of like introduce each of the four, I guess, mechanics. So you have investigating, so you can look at the pot, like the soil, or the plant itself, and it'll tell you like, the leaves are yellowing. And then you can ask your client a question about like the temperature or whatever. So, and then they'll tell you some answers, and they all tell the truth. I didn't have time to put any lies in. And what happens is that you can check your notes. And so I have these notes on some very common houseplants. And these are all the plants in the game. And so you can sort of kind of guess what this one is and look for it in here. And then look up like, oh, okay, well, it needs this sort of temperature, and is that what they said? And then you go to a diagnosis and you pick it, and then you either heal the plant or kill it. So the idea is to go as long as possible to keep them all alive. And yeah, so you just go through this over and over and over again. So like the soil seems dry here, and there's some small brown spots. In this case, it's I can't pronounce this, but it's this plant. Right, so you ask them about water, right? And it says, well, keep it moist. So you say, well, maybe you're not watering enough, and you heal it, and it's all good. And yeah, you just keep going through it. So in the case of doing it poorly, you get a little X, and well, oh no. so yeah, that's how it works. And it'll automatically generate a plant with a different problem. Some plants have like 3 problems, some have 5. There's 5 different plants. Yeah, and so I kind of wanted to pick houseplants that a lot of people would use, because I wanted to make like a little bit of a educational game. And plants. So yeah, I'll just guess. And when you lose, it'll show you this screen, and tells you how many you kept alive and whether you want to play again. And if you hit play again, it'll bring you right back in. So that's what I did. Yeah, remember to hydrate, chat. Yeah, that's what I did for Ludum.
This is so cool, Paige.
I'm not sure if anyone has any questions.
It's really cool.
Wait, let me
check the chat to see if there's any questions.
So Paige, why plants?
Well, I really like plants. I mean, I made a VR game about growing plants.
That's
like,
true.
It's basically on brand now. I brought in a bunch of plants from outside before the winter, and quite a few did not make it.
That's unfortunate.
So hopefully, hopefully I'll get better at it.
Rabbit Rain in the chat was asking, would you be making this game for sale, or where can you get it?
Well, that's my sister, so we can ignore her. But but yes, it is on itch.
Roasted by your own sister.
Oh yeah, I know, right?
See, normally the person on stage isn't supposed to out their stooge in the crowd. You're supposed to play along.
No. I heckle her all the time. It's fine. It's on itch. You can play it in the HTML browser or download it.
Cool.
And this was,
Stax asked, how long did it take to make?
So every game jam I record how long I spend on things. So in this case I spent 28 hours and 10 minutes over the course of 3 days.
If only you'd shaved off 10 minutes somewhere.
I have a question. How much of that time was research?
Not that much, actually.
Okay.
I have a bunch of plant books, so I kind of just opened the book. I looked up most common houseplants. Link. I looked up the most common houseplants and then opened the book, and then picked the ones that were easiest to draw.
Nice.
So
awesome.
That's how I went about doing it. So a lot of that information, I actually on the description of the game, I mentioned what book I got it all from. So you can totally go look at the book if you want.
I would like to look at this book.
Can you actually kill a spider plant?
Can you? Yeah.
Is that like, you mean in the game or in real life? Immortal plants.
You can do both.
Cool. Any other quick questions in the chat here from anybody? Anyone saw here? How hard is it to get accurate details on these plants?
How hard? It's actually really hard. I tried just doing a Google search. Like for example, looking up images of the plants not looking perfect. Super hard. I had to take a guess for everything. And thankfully the book that I have it shows it off with all the different problems that can happen to the plant. But yeah, finding the information is super hard, and finding images so that you know what your plant looks like is also it's always just this is what it looks like when it's beautiful.
So is the visual thing that's wrong with the plant, is that related to the particular thing that needs to be fixed?
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
So I think in this case it's that it's underwater. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's what it looks like to open.
Nice.
That's super cool. Cool. Anything else you want to show us there, Paige?
No, I don't think so. I think anything else I would want to show would take way too long. It was nice showing this off.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, thanks so much for showing it, Paige.
Get some more claps in the chat for Paige. Cool. And we will be right back in just a minute. are back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our open floor session with the one and only Jeremy Penner. Whoop, 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 whoop.
What's up, everyone?
Hi, Jeremy.
Hey. So yeah, because I mean, everyone from Ottawa, I'm pretty sure, has seen my setup, but we're now merging the cities. So I just wanted to quickly show off my development station before I kind of talk about my game. So hold on.
Go on a tour.
So like, this is my main PC. It's a 286, and then this is my debug console. It's connected via serial cable. It's also a 286. This is my game. It's called Newt Tower. And yeah, I will shrink myself and make my game much bigger. So I've been working on this engine for, I don't know, a year and a half. And then this year at the Global Game Jam in February, I kind of built out the start of this game. And then someone at Rectangles, the last meetup, when I kind of showed it off, pointed me towards this DOS Game Jam that was happening on itch.io and ended in the middle of April. And that was a super awesome Discord community. The organizer, I think, wants to put together something similar to like the PlayStation Haunted demo disc, except it's like the virtual shareware CD or whatever. But the jam was super chill. It was like anything inspired by an old DOS game. So people made shit in Windows. There were other people making real DOS games. The organizer made a tabletop RPG, it was just a really great community. So I just kind of want to shout out to that. So yeah, this is my shareware game. It's up on itch.io. It's called Newt Tower. Just really quick, kind of show you the help screen here, the controls. It's got a boss key. And you can kind of see the shareware catalog from the menu. So this is kind of in the style of the Epic Mega Games, what are the other games? This was made by another lady in the jam, Kiri Jolly. And so people, kind of advertise the other people's games in the jam. People did their kind of own ASCII art. This is Newt Tower's kind of elevator pitch. And then, yeah, you can see there's like 15 pages of just other games that people have made. So I just wanted to kind of shout out to them. But yeah,
so you buried the lead here. Let me see that boss key in action.
Okay, so I'll start a new game. So I got to play with AdLib FM synthesis for this. This was real fun. So yeah, here's an earthquake, and you have to kind of like escape the tower. Here, I'll hit F9. That's our boss key. Definitely real work, not playing computer games. So yeah, you just kind of go through. I'll just show off the kind of intro screen again. And so you control this programmer J, and you can switch to your kind of program Newt, who can move around kind of through the electrical system, turn on switches for you, open doors, and you kind of have to work together to kind of find a way to the next area. So if you turn a terminal on, Newt can use it to travel through the network. So that kind of allows you the kind of key and door situation. J can unlock doors for Newt, and Newt can unlock doors for J. Literally doors. And then so kind of every level ends with this kind of exit at the edge. And then this is kind of what I ended up. This was the level that I made for the Global Game Jam. It's this miserable hell maze. And I kind of wanted to talk about the whole design ethos, because it kind of started as like, okay, I wanted this to be a puzzle game where you kind of have to cooperatively switch between characters. And then I made this big maze that you had to kind of work your way through. And then I was like, okay, I don't want the player to ever have to go through another giant, nasty maze like that again. You know, what is this, you know, kind of what is this game really going to be about? And so one of the things, there's a couple things about this maze. One of them is that the mechanics that I picked of just kind of like unlocking doors and the switches, it turns out that you can't ever get a level into an unwinnable state. You can't, you know, accidentally lock yourself in a room and not have a way to get back out. And so that was really interesting. It was like, okay, well, and I kind of wanted to move that forward to have like a puzzle where you can, you know, you don't need an undo key. So it's not like a Sokoban, you know, you push the crate into the corner and then you're just done. I wanted it to be more about kind of exploring and unlocking the map and figuring out, you know, what's to be done. So like I can run through this maze real quick. Or I can also, on my debug terminal, just like turn on no clip. And then just walk through walls, and that works too. Yeah, that's a fun way to do it. But yeah, so kind of the solution that I settled on was for every level to just kind of introduce more novelty. So it would kind of introduce a new mechanic, or it would, you know, put things together in kind of a way that you really hadn't seen before. And it just kind of ended up like as I go on, like the more deeper you get into this game, the more and more interesting stuff kind of becomes available. So I don't know how much of this I want to like actually show off and spoil, but you know, there's like this other person in the tower, and you help them. Seems like someone in the terminal. Humans present. So yeah, this is. Oh, I still have no clip turned on. Oh no, what did I hit? There we go. Okay. So it's like, okay, you kind of work together to make your way. And so it kind of ended up being, one of my big inspirations was the old DOS adventure game Goblins and its sequels. I think Goblins 3 is definitely the best of them. But this idea where you kind of have multiple characters and they can kind of do different things, and everything's on like a single screen. So you kind of you always have the option of just like trying everything on every other thing, and it's not the solution space is not too large. So the puzzle in this level, which isn't much of a puzzle, is that she can't move the desk, but this cleaning robot looks like it can lift a building. So you kind of get this other ability of, oh, now Nuke can take over the body of this cleaning robot, who I styled to be kind of like a excited puppy. He's Rex the janitor and your best friend. So he can go and clean up all the garbage. And Gord is not garbage. And then when he's done, he can just go back to his little spot and Nuke can come out. And of course, you can help him up. And then he kind of joins your party. And so he has different abilities too. He can sit in chairs and then use stuff while you're not not around. So yeah, I don't know how much more of this people want to see necessarily, or what more I have to say about this in particular. I should probably be looking at the Twitch chat. But yeah, there's a few more levels of this. And yeah, I can kind of skip to them real quick, just if you want to see what they look like.
Sure. Yeah, we can see if we have any questions in the chat.
Sure.
Mostly people have just been reminiscing about which sound cards they had
yeah,
20
that's
years
fair.
ago.
This is actually this level has a neat gimmick that I kind of want to show off. Whereas, like, okay, you've had a couple levels with this cleaning robot cleaning up garbage, and then here's one that doesn't feel so good, and he kind of has he starts dropping garbage behind him, and he kind of has a weirder, more distorted sound, and awkward places he can't get to. He has very restricted movement. This was actually an incredible pain to get designed properly. I spent at least a week on it, getting this level to actually work the way I wanted it to work. Oh, there is also PC speaker support for all the sounds. Let's see if I can turn that on. No, guess not. Oh, wait. These are good.
There we go.
Yeah. That was fun. It basically is a really shitty ad-lib emulator. I program it by sending the exact same, I just have a screen of C code that's accepting whatever writes you would write to the ad-lib registers. And then it's okay, just voice one. And instead of, programming any kind of waveform or anything, it's play a square wave at this frequency for half a second. And it mostly works except for the really weird shit.
Toastar in the chat was saying he was having Duke Nukem flashbacks, which is also exactly where my brain went as well.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the final, I'll just queue up the last level. Oh, actually, this one has a really neat. I want to show off this sequence because it's really good.
While you're setting that up, there's two good questions here as well, which I think are related. One being, I'm assuming you wrote this whole thing in C, which I think you could talk about. And the other one being, how difficult is it to make a native DOS game like this versus using modern tools and modern engines?
So this is a really weird question to answer. So I started it in C, and then I kind of decided that I wanted to write my own scripting language for the conversations and that kind of thing. And then that kind of turned into a whole big thing. So all of the game logic for this, the only parts that are actually written in C are the graphics engine and the hardware interfacing. And the rest is kind of written in the scripting language, which is based on kind of a really old programming language called Forth, which is mainly used for kind of embedded systems. But it's not so much a language as it is just kind of a set of weird ideas for making a programming language that's very powerful with using basically no resources. And it's powerful along a really weird set of dimensions. So the creator of Forth has said things like he doesn't see the use of local variables and in fact thinks they're actively harmful. So in my version of Forth, there is only global variables or constants, and there is no namespacing. There's just you name a thing, and then that is globally accessible to anything. Yeah, it ended up being just it really forces you to be to simplify things, to make your pieces very kind of small and not dependent on a lot of other pieces. And what it ended up being just like this really flexible system where I could kind of really directly build the kind of tooling and stuff that I wanted. So maybe the other thing I'll show is it has a built-in map editor. So I just turned on the developer tools, and I can go in and I can just start editing shit. Drop like a chair there or whatever. It has a full built-in sprite and tile editor. I have some graphics from like a previous game that I was working on using this engine. But like, here's all the sprites, and then I can literally, I don't know, I can take this guy and, give him bright blue pants or something. As long as he's facing left. And then, he's sitting in a chair, so I'll have to pick him up. And then now when he's facing left, he has the, it's just immediately in the game. And so I was kind of like able to build these really good workflows, really direct, just because I was very comfortable with kind of the entire part of my stack, and I was happy to kind of build my own tools. But yeah, what was the thing I wanted to show? Right. I wanted to show the this awesome cutscene, which is one of my favorites in the game. So now you're blocked, and you have to kind of find a way out.
Sound design is on point.
Yeah, that was fun to do. I kind of wrote a little ad lib REPL that I could mess with the various ad lib registers, and I basically took all of the instruments from Cryo's Dune, which has the absolute best ad lib music of any computer game, and just like tweaked them. But yeah, I don't know. And this is kind of the final level, which adds this whole friendly keypad lock mechanic. And this is kind of the most adventure gamey level in the game. So you have to kind of figure out what the keypads, what the codes are. And so you can kind of use, you kind of end up reading through all the emails of the various programmers and stuff in this cubicle farm. So this is kind of a little bit of backstory, a little bit of clue hinting saying that you're not allowed to get at the cleaning robot. The code has been changed. Do not attempt to hack the keypad. This means you, Bill. So, of course, in order to finish this level, you will have to hack that keypad. Yeah.
This is so cool.
I'm actually super proud of this game, not just because of the technical aspect of it, but like I also think the game design is some of the best I've done, and I'm really excited to. I hope people will check it out and will actually try it out. It's actually playable in the browser in an emulated DOS box on itch.io, yeah, I would love to hear people's feedback and see what they think of it if you actually play through it.
Hell yeah, Jeremy. This is so good. Can we get some claps in the chat for Jeremy? Holy shit. Coming out here,
Amazing.
running his own DOS games. Amazing. Jeremy, thank you so much. And we're going to take a quick 2-second break and be back with some more video games. we are back with the fastest transition of the night with the one and only Kizzy Adamo. She's been in VR all night, and now we get to see through her eyes.
My eyes hurt. Alright, so when this whole pandemic thing started, I was like, I forget why. I was like, I want to make a VR pet game. And then I did it in like 2 days. So this is the result of that. I bought some cute bird assets. They're literally called cute birds on the Unity Asset Store, and this is called Anime Bedroom, I believe. I'm not even joking.
That's how you make a video game. We're all done.
Yep. Get Anime Bedroom, cute birds. What else do you need? So it has features such as you pick up the birds. Look at them; they're so cute.
This is kind of evil.
Yeah, I guess that one's a bit evil. You can pet them and they'll do a nice animation. The asset came with a lot of nice animations. I didn't want to learn Blender, so I very much worked with what they gave me. And then I got some free plates, so I can feed them so they will eat, but they also grow 3 times. So they can grow, you can pet them, and then you can throw them. But if they go too far, they will come flying back to you.
That's cool.
But they can also just like be on the ground. But maybe one is over there. It's not far enough, but it's not flying back. Thankfully, I included the feature of the magic phone. You pick it up and you call them back. And they just sort of float. I removed I removed their collision for when they come back because it was really, really buggy and messed up if I left the collision on.
How many birds can you stack?
Can I stack? That's a good question. We'll have to try that out now.
Oh.
We're at 3.
Stack all the birds. Stack all the birds.
Bird stack.
Oh
man.
Star Eyes, go.
We gotta get old Star Eyes and get on the action there.
Star Eyes, White Dragon, can't lose.
Can we do it? It worked! Look at them all! We'll make them all big too.
Your food, birds.
Oh no! Oh, and you can feed them coffee as well. And they also grow.
I feed my bird coffee every day.
Lovely.
Just drop that on the bed there. There we go.
Yep. And they come back. That's pretty much it. That is Bird Place.
Wow.
A place for birds.
It is a place for birds. I'm not good at naming things.
That's a perfect name.
I really like
Thank
the
you.
name.
Did you put this out on itch already?
Yes, it is on itch, so you can play it if you have an Oculus Rift or the Quest that can emulate Rift game. I don't know how that works.
Who knows?
But if you can do that, you can play this.
It's a new kind of Burblo for a new century.
Yes. Yeah, and surprisingly there weren't that many VR pet games. I thought there'd be more.
Yeah,
so maybe it's an untapped market.
Oh, don't say that. There's gonna be bird games all over the place now.
That's true. Now everyone's gonna make their own bird place.
So you just hurl them and then they come flying back?
Yep.
All right.
Back, birds.
Which bird's your favorite, chat?
That's a great question.
Please
Star
rate
Boy's
all
my
these
favorite.
lovely birds.
Yeah.
There's a few skins, but it does randomize which ones are spawned.
Blank Dave TV was asking, is there anything else that you want to do with Bird Place, or is it sort of where you want it right now?
Question. I thought about putting in like movement, having them walk along the ground. I thought that would be cute. There are probably a few more features I would like to add in maybe at some point. Because right now they just eat and then you pet them. But it'd be interesting if they had more interesting AI, like if they could like interact with each other or maybe fly around would be kind of cute. They also randomly fall. I don't know if they've done that yet.
It's a bird thing.
Yep, a bird
That's
thing.
fine.
Yep,
The-
see?
The black and red one was upside down for a really long time earlier, and he seemed okay. So
Yep.
They're loving that soup.
Yep. It's just like a big. It's just a ray cast coming out from their mouth, or actually probably not their mouth, probably a bit lower. So they just will continue eating forever.
I don't know how that works.
have you found a publisher yet?
Sorry.
Have you found a publisher yet?
Still working on it. Still working on it.
I think the winner in chat was the blackbird with the demon eyes.
Demon eyes, yeah.
Lovely.
Second place with
Here
star
we have
eyes.
the winner. He's waving to the to the chat.
Oh, he's waving.
He is.
What a beautiful bird.
There you
Yes.
go.
I do like one of them has like subtle stars on his forehead.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
this
yeah.
one's really
The
cute.
green one.
Yeah, the green one.
If you like these birds, you can buy them yourself on the Unity Asset Store. I think they were like $12.
That's
Good price.
That's worth it, I think.
Yeah.
How much was Handmade Bedroom?
It was around the same price, like $12, and then the plates were free.
What a deal.
Oh, look at those spec maps on the back end of that plate.
I know, it's really nice. And then this in here, this is just like a sphere collider scaled down.
Don't poke it. It's
I was
gross.
too lazy to actually like make a food texture, so I just went with this. And now it just looks like a bowl of piss. Great. Same thing with the
I was gonna
coffee.
say pea soup, but
Yeah. And then same thing with the coffee. I just like put a sphere collider in there.
yeah, it looks a little bit.
She's loving it.
Yep.
Oh, Green's having a little nap. Oh, no.
They all
Right.
come back.
They always come back.
They always come back.
Oh,
This is a
perfect.
good
Thank you.
one with the eyes missing.
Oh no, the ghost bird.
Spooky bird.
Bye.
Ugh.
It's coming back. They always come back.
In the chat, Prime Material Cast points out that there is a lot of real food that is basically just a sphere collider.
That's a
What do you think
very
about
good point. Yeah, actually, now that you think about it. Oh wow.
Can you get rid of the ghost eye bird, please?
It's over there now, don't worry.
Oh, good.
I threw it over there.
Creeping me out.
It is pretty creepy. Look
Oh,
at
no.
it. Look
He's
at
coming
it.
back.
No.
I like him. I think he's cute.
I think
What's
he's
that
cute
bone?
too. But I understand you're scared, so we can put him over here in the corner. Yeah, I was also thinking of adding like I guess character movement and then like different stuff that the birds could interact with. I think that would be nice.
Yeah, if they could sing.
Yeah. Oh, that would be cute. I also
Yeah.
thought about like I was too lazy to do this because physics, but I wanted to make like a swing and you could put like the bird on a swing and then you could push the bird on the swing and I thought that
that'd
would
be
be
fun.
cute.
That would be
Yeah.
Sort of a bathroom scene where you give the birds a bath. The bath would be pretty good.
Aww, and that would be really cute. I don't want to do water, but that would be very cute.
You could have little towels wrapped
Or
around their
sphere
waist.
colliders.
Yeah, it would be all be sphere colliders.
The music is a good fit, and where is it from?
The music. I think it's called Meditation 3. I got it on the YouTube public domain. I wrote
yeah.
down exactly what it was on the itch page if you want to take a
Nice.
look at that. I don't have a link. I can't really link things right now, but I'll link it after.
You can't
Yeah, I
link
heard it
VR.
while meditating once. Yeah.
Lovely. Any other questions?
Everyone's just loving these birds.
I'm glad.
Just really enjoying the chill music.
Prime bird.
It's really chill. Yeah. Basically, what I was going for was just like, world's going to shit, so you need just a place with cute birds to take care of, and they're your friends. And that was the premise. And the nice thing about VR is that a lot of the janky physics sort of carry the game. Like, look at this. I pick up a bird and it's already cute. And this is just like code I got from the Oculus Unity base like default package. It's great.
So good. Okay, should we pull up the Dead-Eye Bird one last time before we
Yeah.
Oh no!
There you go, friends. Hi, buddy.
Oh no, look at this!
Oh no.
He has a back face. Why does he have a back face?
This is what happens when we look into its soul.
Going inside.
Do they all look the same? Oh no, they look different. Actually, I haven't looked inside them.
No.
You gotta look inside them all now. That's what we're gonna do before we quit.
Come home, I want to look inside.
I think that's it.
Oh my god.
Yep, that's it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kezia.
All right, we'll be back. We got 2 more people coming at you in this super awesome open floor. And we are back, continuing this marathon edition of our very first open floor, digital open floor, with the one and only Tyler Norman. What's going on, Tyler?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, take it away.
Cool, sounds good. So hey everyone, I'm Tyler. I've been coming to Rectangles in Ottawa for 6 years, I think, by this point. So for the past couple of years, I've been working on a game in Unity called Curse Seasons. Do you guys still have the end slate up, or? Oh, cool. Alright, so, pretty much... Cool. So, like, I can't show like too much gameplay because right now I'm in this weird state where I've basically been sort of half like redoing a bunch of my workflow, which I want to get into tonight. But basically, I made this little like test scene where I'm switching everything over to Unity's tile map system. So one thing I've been working on is combat, and I needed a way to sort of playtest it. Like I do have these enemies randomly spawning right now; they're moving like pretty slow, so I can just attack them. But I made these little test dummies, and what's cool is that they can actually show your damage output. So you can just go attack one. And right now it's like the hitbox on the sword is a bit wonky, so that's like these also helped me sort of figure that out. But see, so it shows how much damage you do in the form of hearts. It's either a half heart or a full heart. And then what I worked on during Global Game Jam for the weekend is I wanted to do this whole sort of modular arrow system. So you can equip the bow, and over here you have your arrow split into two components. Eventually I want to do like a little preview in that corner. So now I just have like a standard arrow tip and arrow body. So I can show you what that's like. It just hits one target and the arrow's gone and that's it. And then we can switch out the tip for the piercing tip. And then what that does is that'll actually go through multiple enemies, hitting them once each time. And then as well with like enemies with segments, like those worms, it'll pierce through each segment and do damage per segment. I haven't done anything with implementing arrow body components, but those are basically going to affect how the arrow actually moves. So basically I was able to get this like proof of concept arrow system. So just for people who haven't seen this, this is a game I've been working on for the past couple years called Cursed Seasons. It's basically a roguelike farming sim, a bit more focused on combat, but I can show you basically sort of, I can't show like planting crops, but like you see I have this farm space, and like I can water it, and your watering can has capacity, and you can refill it. Cool, I'm actually surprised that worked, because I basically haven't even tested out those sort of water tiles. So now I want to show some of the workflow stuff I've been doing. So those water tiles sort of tie into Unity's whole tile map system. So basically, this whole map right now is just drawn out using Unity's tile palette brushes. I made brushes for the water tiles, but I ran into a problem with some tiles where I have some tiles where the sprite is smaller than the base sort of tile palette that I have, because I think the base is like 16 by 16. And so it's like, what if I want to have this edge transition to sort of make like a smooth transition from like this cliff here and like the grass. So basically, I ran into that problem and I posted it on Twitter. And then my buddy Liam was like, "Hey, you should just make a tool to just sort of like paste the sprites together." So during Global Game Jam 2 years ago, I made a tool just called Tile Merge, where basically I could feed it in a base tile, so you can just go like grass, for example. Pop that in there, and then I can go to one of my sort of smaller tiles I have here. I think I have like a dark outline. Okay, so you see we have like, let's do, I think that's in the wrong slot, yeah. So let's do something like, where is it? Go down to, cool, that one there. And go to, it's like a bunch. I'll just do a couple. Won't do the full set. Basically something like that, something like that. And it'll even give you like a little live preview of what the output is going to look like. So you can get a sense of sort of how this is going to piece together before you actually export it. But basically I can sort of set the file path and all that, and then actually generate the sprite sheet. And that way I can just like create a tile map in Unity using that. So this has sort of helped about my workflow a bunch, because before, I think I actually still have like the old farm asset. Before I was just straight up building this out in an image editor, bringing it into Unity, and then sort of pasting what I needed over it, like the actual like farmland dirt tiles were sort of generated over in that green space. And then same with like the water, I was just sort of placing the prefabs over that space, and it was super tedious. So I've been finding this whole like tile map workflow has been way better. It's just been a lot of work sort of replacing the old setup of the game. But that's pretty much it that I can show tonight. I have a lot of rectangles before I've showed off. Like there's a whole like procedural dungeon. I think I've done a playthrough of showing that a bit. There's also like a day and night cycle. Which actually you can see a little bit as it progresses in like the sort of sky color. There's like a tint here and that changes. So that's pretty much what I've got tonight, if there's any questions.
Cool, this is so cool. I love just slowly watching this game come together over like the past few years has been so cool.
Yeah.
Like, every time you show it off, there's always something new added to it, or like some subtle little thing that you've been tweaking that is like vitally important, right? It's been super, super cool. See if there's any questions in the chat here. Feel free to toss them in there if anyone wants to. So like, what's your like project map for this, I suppose? Because like, since it's something like it's clearly like a larger project, you've been working on it for a few years, like how do you tackle what it is you're going to work on next? Or like, do you just kind of like go piece by piece, or do you have like a bit of a plan, or how does it go?
Yeah, it's sort of been piece by piece. I mean, I got some pretty good feedback at CGX 2 years ago. So I still got notes on that for things to improve, but like,
cool.
It's sort of just been bit by bit what I'm feeling like, as well as sort of like what I need, because it's like I took a break from it for a couple months, and when I came back, there was a bunch of workflow things where it was like, oh, this is like super slow, or it was just sort of like I found it difficult to work on a few things. So I sort of looked at those and I was like, okay, how can I improve this so that way it's easier for me to work on this game in the future, right?
Yeah, that's cool. One question from the chat here. From Prime Material Cast says, cool stuff. How does the fletching affect the arrows?
So it's going to affect the movement. So for example, there's like I haven't implemented this one yet. So actually I can equip it, but it just like, it won't even move. But basically what it'll do is, so that one, for example, will bounce off hard surfaces. And so it'll probably deflect maybe at a random angle. I haven't really like figured this one out too much. But then there's ones where it's like I might have it so it's like you fire the arrow and it actually creates 4 orbital arrows that just spin around you until they like make contact with an enemy, and then that arrow's destroyed. So I might do some neat little things like that. Some that'll sort of like auto home in on the nearest enemy. So I just sort of think it'll create these sort of like fun little situations in the game.
Yeah.
Especially since it's a roguelike, so there's like all the loot is randomized.
Cool. Yeah, that's neat. Cool. I think that was it for the questions from the chat. Tyler, thank you so much, good sir. This is looking amazing. Come back when you got some more stuff, please. We want to see some more things. And then eventually...
Yes, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah. Cool. We're going to take one more hot little break and come back with our final presenter of the night. Do not go away. We are back, ladies and gentlemen, with this gorgeous black screen and our last presenter of the night, Mr. Sean Murphy. How's it going, Sean?
It's going good. Going good. I'm excited.
Hell yeah, we're all excited. What do you got for us here?
So, some buddies and I have been working on this game called Void Rifter. We actually launched a company, which is officially a company last week, in order to pursue this game all the way through to finish. And we're hunting for a publisher right now and stuff like that. But we've released a demo for the Oculus Quest and Oculus Rift. And it is, so it's a mech shooter for VR, of course. And it's got a really stylistic look, and it's just a wild time. I guess let's play the video.
Cool, let's see it.
All right.
Yeah, so for those following along in chat, streaming from an Oculus Quest is very difficult. So we have a video here.
So it actually starts with you playing with a dog, of course, as you can tell. And if anybody's following me on Twitter, you should be able to see the progression of this over the past little bit. But let's just wait a little bit before we hop into the next scene. This video was taken by our level designer, Eric, who's actually in the chat, and he's going to be answering questions while we go. Here we go. The dog likes to play hard to give you the ball back. Yeah, the dog was kidnapped by this creature of some kind. You can pet the dog, yes. So now you have to rescue the dog. It's So I just talked a little bit about the tech we're using. Right now we're actually using the scriptable render pipeline in Unity. The universal render pipeline version of it, so that we can get as much visual fidelity as possible to the Oculus Quest. It's a very limited platform. We modified most of the post-processing in the engine so that it can actually run on the Oculus Quest. It's super limited performance-wise. But some other points too is this is like a mix of MechWarrior Online, or not MechWarrior and Doom. It's meant to feel really action-packed, supposed to keep you as engaged as you possibly can get you. So we have all in-pocket controls. We're trying to make it so that you use as little of the buttons on the controller as possible, because we want to do hand tracking very soon. Have a lot going on for us.
I'm loving the MechWarrior style gameplay.
It's it plays kind of a little bit faster than MechWarrior, because we were trying to capture that nice smooth mix between Doom flow and MechWarrior heavy clunkiness.
Yeah, I assume you don't have to sit in like a puddle for like 30 seconds in order to cool your heat sinks down.
Yeah, we were actually playing with something like that, but we found that like we wanted to just be in the action. We didn't want to wait for, like, we didn't want the mech to be hindering us from the gameplay. We wanted to be like an ultimate action tool. So it's just ready to party. And this, some of the things that we've been trying to combat too is like motion sickness. It's really interesting because those who don't have their VR legs often find that there is the way we've set up the UI allows them to feel more comfortable when they're using this than if they didn't have any UI or anything like that. So we're discovering a lot of techniques that are allowing us to turn up my mic. How do I turn up my mic? Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, one thing that's definitely works well for VR games is having that kind of constant heads-up display all the time, because it gives the VR player a fixed position to look at while they're playing the game. So I think that works pretty well.
Yeah, and so I mean, it works really great here. It's with everything, like, if you look at the left side of the screen, you can see the rocket launcher. There's a difference between how people feel just by putting that there, that like can give them a level of odd comfort, and you know, just putting that there has reduced a lot of motion sickness, which surprised me quite a bit. We are, you know, we're trying to get a good mix of the mech games that we all played. Like a good mech game that I loved growing up was Armored Core. Which was an extremely high-paced mecha game where you went pretty much as fast as you possibly could, and so we're trying to capture a little tiny bit of that in here too, with a good mix of the. But yeah, I mean, it's come quite a long way since our first demo, and you know, I started this on the Global Game Jam, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, this looks super cool.
And yeah, you know, this is running on the Oculus Quest. It's when you look up a lot of performance requirements for the Oculus Quest, you hear a lot of like, you have to limit as much as you possibly can. But what I found is it's a lot more powerful if you move to its kind of like its strengths. Like, we actually don't have any textures. We have only light maps, which reduces our memory overhead by a significant amount and allows us to make really, really nice looking lighting and create a game that's very visually satisfying. And then, you know, you only get about a gigabyte of RAM to load in all your light maps and everything like that. So we have to work around that. It's
cool. A couple questions from the chat here, which are fairly related. So speaking of Armored Core, are you planning any melee weapons? Followed by, have you experimented with a very long sword or spear?
We haven't experimented with any melee weapons yet, but it is something that Eric is always pushing, and he wants to add it. So I am more than happy to experiment with that and see how that goes.
Hell yeah.
We're really doing as much as we can to make sure it plays good and it feels like you are a boss. And considering the fact that we went from having, you know, it was kind of like this just the reticle to a gun handle inside the mech, we could probably make that into a sword handle, and you'd have like a mini sword inside the mech, and then there would be a sword right beside you that would be the giant sword, and that would be wicked cool. And I am absolutely in on that idea.
Yeah, watching Avatar, the movie.
Exactly.
The character was walking around with the virtual gun, and then the mech suit was carrying the real gun, and then he stabs them with a giant mech knife. Was a somewhat satisfying experience.
Yeah, it's I mean, we are constantly adding to this, and so right now we're actually just working on the demo, so that we can have a really clean thing. We've launched it on SideQuest, and we are approaching 2,000 downloads, and 7,000 views, and we're using it as kind of like a way to learn what, you know, how to design, because VR designed like this it's hard to find other games that are trying to kind of achieve this, and so it's, you know, finding UI and comfort and stuff like that. It's kind of like all brand new territory. So we're trying to develop a design language that allows us to really express to our users, how to use the mech without words. Our end goal is to develop a game that there is absolutely no words. It's stories told very similar to how Journeys is, and it's meant to be an environmental storytelling game where you're in a mech and you're traveling through dimensions to get your dog back.
Greg Soup asks, is there Steel Battalion style big red button that you can push in an emergency?
I haven't thought of that, but it's going to be in there now. That's kind of like our rocket launcher. It's your panic button. It shoots 6 rockets, and it's pretty much an insta-kill weapon. So it's like if you got a lot of things coming up on you, you can switch to it, and it'll just spam out rockets.
Yeah, it makes me feel like
awesome.
I get a lot of virtual on feel from like the movement of the mech and everything, and it's kind of like what if I was just like, what if it was virtual on but like cockpit view, right? But with like incredibly rad particles and stuff. Like,
yeah,
I love the movement.
What game is that?
Virtual on. Oh, you should totally play Virtual On if you haven't yet. That's a Sega arcade game where your mechs fighting each other. And it's like
I want to play Virtual On now.
Anime.
Is it Virtual Lawn?
On, O-N.
Oh, on. I'm like, lawn is in like mowing lawn.
Virtual lawn with robots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I played this so many times. Yeah, actually, this is one of my mental inspirations. That was probably one of my first mech games I ever played, honestly.
Like the movement and the sense of like speed that the mech is getting kind of reminds me of it, and it's. There was a conversation in the chat about like Western mech games versus Japanese mech games, where it's the sense of speed and movement is that key differentiator.
Yeah, and so we're trying to blend those.
Yeah,
we're trying to get a good blend, and I mean, when we first started, our artist, one of our concept artists, Gio Manning, actually was designing some mechs, and he came up with like some really big Japanese style mecha, and then we were kind of trying to mix the American and Japanese style, and we ended up with something that looks kind of like a bit of a Mech Warrior 80s take kind of thing. And so the icon for the game has kind of the outside view of that. It's the thing that I found really frustrating about working on this game is when you start playing it, it's hard to stop. And so you get in this situation where you just like, you're trying to test something, but then you just kind of keep going. And then now you're the end boss.
Terrible thing to have.
Right? It's really frustrating because nothing gets done.
It's a good sign.
But yeah, Riley Easter did all the art assets for 3D.
Yeah.
Gio did all the icons and everything inside the mech, as well as designed the mech. Eric, who's in the chat right now, did all the level designs. We actually just ripped a level out of here, which was an experimentation level, but we wanted to shorten the demo because it's really interesting. When you build the game and you know the game, you can get through the game in like 15 minutes, like this video. But when you're not a developer on the game, sometimes it takes people up to an hour and a half to beat our demo. And we were thinking when we put the demo together, we need more, because, we're beating it so quickly, but... Would you call yourself, your mecha, more of a Gundam or EVA?
EVA, like Evangelion?
Oh, Evangelion.
My assumption.
More of a Gundam. Because it's meant to feel big, meant to feel like it's a big machine, but it's also meant to feel nimble.
Yeah.
Sleek. Like, it's hard to say, because you can actually play this game multiple ways, in which we made it so that if you set the throttle down to 1, it plays like Mech Warrior, where you're a big honking machine that takes time, and it takes you a while to get anywhere, but then the AI adapts to that. The dog actually has already name. The dog's name is Sophie.
That's a cute name. Does somebody have a dog named Sophie? Is that why that happened?
Well, Yeah, I was working on a game a number of years ago, and a friend of mine's dog passed away, and I was like, I'll make your dog, and we'll toss it in the game, and then that game didn't go anywhere, so I had the asset hanging around, and I was like, yeah, we got to put this in here.
Yeah.
So that's Sophie. But now you're rescuing Sophie because these monsters took your dog for some reason.
Jerks. Oh,
jerks.
Oh,
oh yeah, that's the end. That's the end of the demo.
Well, there's some ads for everybody.
Yeah, now we can analyze James's YouTube. I
love Forgotten Weapons, so I can say I'm really into revolvers and turn of the century automatic pistols.
There's nothing wrong with that. It's good stuff. So I mean, if anybody has any more questions, we are supporting the Oculus Quest. We're supporting the Oculus Rift. We are actually going to be moving the game over to Unity's brand new 2020 VR toolkit, and then modifying my system so it can work inside of that. So that we can just build any VR headset, because the new VR toolkit actually supports literally every VR platform. And it's build once, run on all, which
Excellent.
is super exciting, and it just lowers the bar for entry way more.
Very cool.
No, it's amazing. I love a good VR game. I love a good mech game. It's exactly what I'm into.
So we're actually hunting for a publisher coming very soon. Whole company's ready to go and stuff like that, and we're just turning away, trying to get the demo ready. So we're waiting for it to be something where we no longer see comments on the side quest of things like "I was confused" or something like that. We're looking for those 4 out of 5s and 5 out of 5s.
That's cool.
Excellent.
Cool. Well,
if there's any more questions, feel free to hit me up on Twitter. I'm ready to party all the time. So
what's your Twitter handle?
Sean Murphy 24, I think.
23. I was just looking.
23.
Yeah, I think we can just open Twitter and check.
I'm just gonna post in the chat everyone's Twitters except for.
Oh, look at that giant Twitter dump.
Oh no!
I couldn't find.
Is that just one big
Twitter.
link? Yes. It is.
You didn't put spaces.
Somebody click that link. See where it takes you. We'll fix that. So we had mentioned about editing this description afterwards with everyone's Twitter handles and everything. So I suppose this is where we're gonna say goodbye. Sean, you can hang out with us if you want while we sing our goodbyes here. This is it for the first show, not show and tell. What is this? Dirty Rectangles Online. I think it went pretty good. How about you guys?
I
loved it.
It went amazingly.
It's been the best Dirty Rectangles Online we've ever had.
I completely agree.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yes.
I think we showed. I think we chilled. I think it was online.
Yeah.
Everything worked?
Everything. Yeah, I think so. Eventually, we'll figure out that this never actually streamed onto Twitch or something, and everyone in chat is just fucking with us. That's okay. So I turned on video on demand, which means you can enjoy this amazing 3-hour adventure at your leisure at any point in time. We're going to be sticking this up on YouTube, so it'll stick around forever and all that good stuff. We're going to do this again next month. I think this was a great success. And any last words or thoughts from anybody before we take off from here?
Yeah, I mean, if anybody watching this, if anybody has any comments or any suggestions or just the stuff you like, the stuff you didn't like, again, just hit us up on Twitter at Dirty Rectangles or at rectangles_TO. And yeah, I mean, we'll take everything in mind as we plan the next one. I mean, I think 100% for sure we'll do it again next month. We'll keep doing it until we get back to our live ones. But
we have more people that want to present, and I'm sure there's people out there that are going to want to share their games after seeing this one for sure.
Hell yeah.
It was amazing to see friends from a long time ago and new friends. And amazing to see everyone talking in chat. Just excellent work, everybody. I'm so amazed.
Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in, and thank you to all the amazing presenters.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. This was a blast. I'm so excited we get to do this every month now.
Isn't it cool? Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
I think this is fun. Okay, folks. Well, let's go have a celebratory beer and glass of water, and then go to bed. How does that sound?
Yes.
Everybody's
And no one
ready
has to like
to-
take an hour bus ride home. It's great.
go.
You're already at
Hopefully
home.
not.
I'm gonna miss
Hopefully
dirty poutine from the weird Lebanese place around the corner.
That's
No one's
the
going
one
to the second bar
downfall.
tonight.
Yeah.
All right, folks. This has been amazing.
All right.
We'll see you next month. Keep it real. All that
Yep.
good
Waving.
stuff.
Yes.
Much love. There's another cat in here for everyone. That's all
Out
you need.
there.
All right. Bye, everybody.
My cat's gone. Sorry.
Bye.
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 It's been amazing.